Well, hello everyone. It's time for episode 3 of our Sith Inquisitor playthrough in Star Wars The Old Republic. We are going to continue Elctha's journey here. Here's a close-up. If you ever need to get a close-up of your character, with lighting, good luck. Star Wars The Old Republic is very, very dark. But if you push yourself up against a surface, it'll pop your camera in real close to you. I noticed a little while ago that everyone around here is dressed, the same. We all got the same quest rewards. And I got the feeling, since we got kind of knocked down a notch or two, got spanked a bit by some of these Sith, teaching us harsh lessons, that I just want to keep wearing my original little neophyte robe, it's called. It makes me look more humble, more of an acolyte. I think more appropriate for the character. When we left off, that's a cool looking character. What is she? Oh, Miri Allen, I think. When we left off, we came here to a scientific research camp run by Lord Renning, who we actually have to talk to turn in some mutant body parts that we collected on the way from the lower wilds down to this laboratory. I noticed, however, there's something over here, a little space, and I want to try to see what's over there. See if there's anything hidden. There's probably not, but I just feel the need to explore everything I can. Look at that. Why does that exist? Hear people in the chat are arguing about RP. It looks like a platform with no purpose. But later we might go around and see if we can get, into something from the east. Ugh. Sorry, I'm sniffling. The weather just changed here drastically. Alright, I think we'll have to explore more later. Going on my elevator. Hello there, Ishvarkin. Alright. Okay. This fellow here has a quest for us too. Let's see. I'm gonna talk to him before I talk to Lord Ren. Okay.
Ah, more bone marrow samples. Lord Renning will be pleased. You may go.
Ah, okay, so the mutant parts was supposed to go to this fellow. I've noticed 2 or maybe even 3 role-playing guild adverts there in the chat. That's awesome. I love to hear that. We're not ready to join an RP guild here. We're simply not ready yet. We've got to develop our character much more, and I will talk more about joining guilds and what that the implications for your character. So we can choose to talk to Lord Renning here. Everyone else is.
A fresh young acolyte come to view my experiments. Good. I trust the sight of a messy operating table doesn't disturb you?
He's a freak. Let's see. Nothing disturbs me. That's not exactly true. How disgusting. I'm gonna say, what are you doing?
What's happening here?
Understanding the Force's mysteries requires that we seek answers everywhere, even inside a beast itself. This used to be a Tukata, the hound-like creatures infesting Korriban's tombs. On the surface, nothing special. But I alone can see this creature is an expression of pure dark side energy, aggression made manifest.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with him. I'm not going to insult him. I'm just going to say I'm impressed.
Amazing. How did you learn that?
The Force told me so. It speaks to me. The Force is alive. It expresses its will in the physical world. This Tukata was one such form.
All right. I will not disagree, nor will I suggest he find a new hobby, so I will continue this feigned interest.
Are we another of these forms?
Sith are the highest manifestation of the Force's will. I've dissected hundreds of Tukata, forging a direct connection to the dark side. Each beast I examine advances me toward perfect unity. I now stand at a new frontier, but find myself thwarted. My most perfect specimen, a Tukata mutant, escaped to the tombs before I could analyze it.
That's terrible news.
Your work is too important to fail, my lord.
Indeed. Perhaps the Force has brought you to me for a reason. You acolytes delve those tombs on your trials. You could hunt that Tukata for me and retrieve its perfect brain. My apprentice, Melora, saw which tomb the mutant beast fled into. Find out what she knows, assist me, and you will be rewarded.
I don't want to just straight up say not interested. I'm going to say as you wish.
I'll speak with Melora and do whatever is necessary, my lord.
You found a great calling in my service. I trust you appreciate that.
What a creepy round man. Okay, oh, look at the interesting little ultrasound on this display here. I want to point this out. This is a guild called the Hidden Light. Here's their guild advert. The Republic has taken drastic action and assembled a covert group to infiltrate the Empire. We offer a Master Padawan system, weekly events, and a guild storyline to help develop your character. Will you resist the lure of the dark side? That is interesting. We're on Imperial side, or Imp side, as it's often called. And yet they're going to be playing characters that are actually Jedi pretending to be Sith. That is I'm glad this came up. This is a wonderful example of the fact that you are in no way required to follow your character class in your manifestation of your character. You're not required to. You could, I could cover this character in armor, and instead of a lightsaber, get a big sword, and be like a mercenary or even a Mandalorian. And just basically pretend that my force abilities aren't in character, or IC as we call it. So there is you can, if you wish, you can create a huge disconnect into what your avatar here to play the game and the persona of your character that you roleplay. The two do not have to be one. If you dress your character up a certain way and look at him, you from an outsider's perspective, you could be something entirely different. You could make just a merchant or a drug dealer trying to make their way in the underworld. No force powers, no heavy tech, just a pistol. you could, twist almost any character class towards something like that and play it and role play it. And no one is going to, no one's going to question that. No one will call you out. No one's going to give you any sort of negative feelings about that. They will take you as you present yourself. You say, this is my character, they're about this. They're not going to say, well, why aren't you pulling, your force powers in that way into this character? They're not going to question that. They're just going to work with what you show up with at the table, which is what you describe. For this playthrough with Elctha, I am going to use the class I've chosen to an extent. I will not bind myself to the story, as you'll later find out. All Sith Inquisitors share the same storyline, but we can't share it in RP. It just doesn't work that way. We all have to be unique, which means we all have to branch away from our class story at many different parts. Basically, at the beginning, in general, you have your own path to walk with your character. What I've chosen to do with all the playthroughs I will do is, to an extent, use that classes structure is not the right word. Kind of the path you're on. Because maybe I'm imagining a new player. It's probably a challenge for them to think up like a non-combative merchant character whose RP doesn't involve combat. That's sort of an advanced thing, as simple as it might sound. A good starting position is to use what your class has. And so I'm going to do it that way. Later on, I'll get into more advanced stuff. But each, be it the bounty hunter or the trooper, I'll do my best to incorporate the class's theme. I'm going to struggle here and there. Probably with trooper, I'll struggle a little bit. But I'm doing that for the sake of the new role player, trying to learn the ropes. All right, let's talk to Melora, who is an apprentice, I believe he said.
Seeking Lord Renning's lost pet, are you? Don't waste your time. That fool's research is pointless.
Okay, so I'm not going to give her attitude. I'll just say, explain.
How did you discover this?
My master is insane. Wasn't it obvious when you spoke to him? Renning deludes the Dark Council into believing he's advancing Sith knowledge. The truth is, he wastes the Empire's time and resources dissecting mindless animals. But if his experiments were discredited, he would be banished, and I would be rewarded.
So this is interesting. This is going to be our character's very first point at which she could make a decision to work against another superior for her own gain. And so far, we've been trying to not get killed, keeping our head down. So as small as this quest is, in the grand scope of things, this is our first ability to kind of start conniving. So let's see what we're going to do. I'll start off with asking why tell me, because she only says that she'll be rewarded.
How exactly is telling me supposed to help?
Look, just a minor alteration to the mutant Tukata's brain would allow me to reveal my master as a fraud. Bring me the brain before delivering it to Lord Renning, and I'll make it worth your while.
Okay. That sounds awful dangerous.
Betraying your master carries considerable risk.
The greater the risk, the greater the reward. For both of us. The mutant Toccata escaped to the tomb of Mark of Ragnos. It's much larger than the others, so it's easy to spot. Return to me with the brain before you see Lord Renning, and I'll take care of the rest.
We do have a situation of plausible deniability. We're gonna think about is what we're gonna do. Here's another RP Guild advert. Aetheris Empire is a heavy RP guild offering a few different IC paths for your character, in-character paths. Also offering a custom story with character development for non-Force users and Force users. Whisper me for more info. So there's a lot of things being said there that I do not know exactly what they mean, but it sounds kind of sus to me. Offering a custom story with character development for non-Force users and Force users. What does offering a custom story with character development? What that sounds like to me, being ignorant of this guild, what it sounds like is they're offering you some structure to your character growing, which to me insinuates there's going to be a measure of control over your character and their path. They're probably doing this in totally good intentions. Maybe they're helping brand new role players. I want, what most RPers want, I think, is just total freedom. And they're kind of fitting you into a structure here. It might be totally benign or even a good idea. It just, that's probably, I'm suspicious of that, is all. Alright, so we got a new ability here. Force Storm. So this changes everything for the Sith Inquisitor. It is an area of effect that you can do over and over and over again. This really, really, really affects the Sith Inquisitor class. Because honestly, later on, you can just mindlessly spam that ability. And it just seems like a good idea. It does so much damage. And it doesn't even use that much energy. I have found in the past that it can get boring. It can get very repetitive. But I will absolutely do this if I'm kind of just relaxing. Maybe I'm gathering materials, or I don't feel like working out my fingers. I've got some arthritis after all. But if I want a challenge, that Force Storm it's a temptation that's hard to give up. I'll try to show how I deal with this later. They all died from the first one, so there's not a lot of reason for me to use my other abilities. So that kind of sucks, actually. Oh, and we got a heal. Dark Heal. It has a cast time. What I do with my key bindings, I played World of Warcraft for many years. In Vanilla and Burning Crusade, and a little bit in Wrath of the Lich King. And I barely touched Cataclysm. I, made my key bindings kind of how I liked, as best I could. The keys that my fingers felt comfortable going to. And I always placed the same kind of abilities onto the same key. And so I've just continued to do that. Because the abilities in Star Wars: The Old Republic. They're very similar to some of the things you'd experience in World of Warcraft. For instance, V has always been my key for an instant cast damage over time spell, which I'll get soon. My brain just goes right to that when I need that. It works for me. Alright, we found an abandoned holopad here.
Sergeant Garrus, turns out the rumors were true. Some of the sentries we lost down here aren't dead. They lost their minds, just like the Acolytes. Doesn't mean we're going to have any easier a time getting the research supplies back, though. The crates are secured with multi-locks. If we're going to open these things without frying the contents, we'll need to get all the sentries' code cylinders back. I don't think negotiation is an option. The men aren't keen to take down their old comrades, but we'll do what we can. Once we have the code cylinders, we'll crack open the supply crates and get back. Tavon out.
I can't help but think that this is probably Tavon here. How he was reduced to a skeleton so quickly, I'm not sure. This quest was foreshadowed by the Imperial troopers who were having a background conversation back in the lower wilds. Okay. So here we go. I find if I use Force Storm all the time, I get lazy. I get so lazy. So I'm going to try to think of it as a I'm in trouble ability. And instead, try to use some of my other abilities. So I stay sharp. Always stay sharp. I have several opinions on leveling a character and what abilities I feel like using and not using. Opinions that probably sound very ignorant to some people. Because always in every game I've played, the optimal maximum damage as quickly as possible you can do is what is wished for. Best you can be. And that's totally fine. You will find an attitude of, yeah, here's that Aetheris Empire thing again. A heavy RP guild offering a few different in-character paths for your character. They're offering paths for your character. That insinuates a structure, and you fit into the structure like cogs in a machine. It doesn't. I don't think that'll be the guild for me. Okay, you hear that sound? Getting louder. This is that glowing light we saw as we flew by in the Skyhopper. This is a holocron, a datacron, I'm sorry. You are no longer able to access this datacron. On this account, I've already come across this, but I wanted to show it. Things like this are hidden all over the world, and you just gotta find them. And the only hint you'll get is that sound when you're really close. I hope to find more. I just got invited to a guild without any whisper or message of any kind. That's considered a little bit rude. It's not a big deal. It's not like it bothered me or messed with my gameplay or gave me any sort of trouble. It's just thought of as kind of rude. You should talk to a person. Hey, are you interested in joining a guild? That's the more appropriate way to go about that. Some guilds just want a ton of members. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe someone can explain that to me. RP guilds are not going to do that. They're going to want to talk to you. Look at that. It just incinerated those people. Too powerful. Force Storm is just too powerful. And it probably sounds crazy for me to say that ability makes me too powerful. But it takes some of the fun away. You know, my introduction to these types of games, EverQuest and Vanilla WoW, and they were hard. They were hard. So that was just my perception of what these games sort of were supposed to be like. So if they get too easy, you know, it's just it's not as fun for me. I got to talking and got lost. What am I looking for? I'm looking for code cylinders, which is probably right there. Important items you can interact with glow blue is convenient, so they don't get lost in the background. It's so powerful. I mentioned in the beginning of the series I was going to give myself handicaps. Not relying on Force Storm all the time is going to be one of those handicaps for the most part. Okay, I think I'm going to let him get it first. Oh, he's pointing at it. All right. I'm going to assume that it was his way of thanks, mate. He may have thought that I didn't know where it was. I was going to let him take it first to show that these interactable objects, they're shared in world. See, he's going to have to wait a moment. Oh, or is that a different guy? Oh, they're together. Oh, he doesn't even need it. That item will disappear for a short while. Which kind of, I'm not sure why they chose to do that. It's a quest item we all need. You know, why should one person be able to take it? Now I'm thinking he was pointing that out for his buddy and not me. But maybe they're not buddies. Maybe they're just another guy. Here, I'm going to give each of them a zap. And then a Force Storm. To make matters worse, they combine this powerful Force Storm that you've got with giving you a companion in time. You'll get a companion to fight with you. And they are very powerful. And they can be killing enemies off screen that you don't even notice. And with Force Storm as well, any that you do see, you can just evaporate. You can snooze through the entire game. I'm not 100% certain what they were thinking when they did this. I love the fact that you can have a companion, though. You feel like you're not so alone. Very few games do that. It's sad these games are they're meant to be so social, massively multiplayer, online role-playing games, but they can feel so lonely, because there's like a social anxiety people can get from just talking to strangers. I'm one to talk. I could have been saying, hello, everyone. The Tomb of Marka Ragnos. Let's open that. Strength, power, and strategy marked the rule of Marka Ragnos. Descended from the original Sith inhabitants of Korriban and the Dark Jedi exiles who interbred with them, Marka Ragnos was destined for greatness. He conquered his competitors in a series of quick, ruthless campaigns and became Dark Lord of all Sith, a title he would hold for more than a century. The reign of Marka Ragnos might have been short-lived had he not displayed great strategic discipline. Instead of clashing directly with Sith challengers who hungered for his power, he pitted his enemies against each other to weaken and destroy them. Similarly, he was one of the few Sith of his era who knew of the existence of the Republic and the Jedi Order. He chose not to attack, and instead focused on strengthening the Sith Empire. The Golden Age of the Sith would end shortly after his death, but the legacy and spirit of Marka Ragnos would live on within his tomb in the Valley of the Dark Lords. So that is so far back that the Sith and Jedi weren't completely aware of each other. Way back in the past. Okay, and as we heard earlier, look at this trashed equipment. Destroyed. That is what Lord Renning was talking about when his precious, perfect mutant Tukata fled into the tomb. And that's where we need to go to complete that quest. But I'm going to pick that up next time on our next episode. And so thank you for watching, and we will pick it up real soon. Elctha and her Force Storm. All right, y'all have a good day.